Howdy Shopware. I've got the Commander 5-tier shelf here. I'm going to tell you about the pros and cons of it, all the features. Let's get to it. Let's talk about what can fit on this shelf. So I've got a few different size boxes and bins. Let's start with this medium size box from U-Haul. It is 16 inches tall. Not all that tall, but too tall to fit on this shelf. The gap between these shelves, so from the bottom here up to the rail right here, is 14 3/4 of an inch. So it is slightly taller than some of the other plastic shelves that I've reviewed, which I have links to those if you want to check those out. But at 14 3/4, it's just tall enough to very comfortably fit one of these Commander bins, which this is a Commander shelf and a Commander bin, so it makes sense that they would design it to hold the Commander bin. And this is the 27-gallon. Let me show you the dimensions there. So you see 14.5 inches tall. So they made it, give you basically 1/4 of an inch there to work with. And that 1/4 of an inch does make this easier to get on. A couple of the other shelves I reviewed, like the Craftsman, is 14.5, so just 1/4 inch less. And this will fit in there, this Commander bin, but just barely, and it's a little more difficult because you lack that 1/4 of an inch. So that is helpful to have that extra 1/4 of an inch there. The other nice thing is this Commander shelf is very wide compared to like the Blue Hawk plastic shelf or the Craftsman. So because of that width, you can actually fit 2 of these bins side by side. There's enough room. Now, one thing, they do stick out. You'll see here. See how it sticks out? Which, you know, it depends on where you have this, but you certainly couldn't put 2 of these, you know, back to back and have your bins that way. They would, you know, obviously you could turn this sideways and it would fit nicely on there. Just show you what that looks like. So when you rotate it, it certainly fits in, and you don't really have any overhang there. But then you have a lot of wasted space on either side. That is the disadvantage to that. But I do like how they designed it around these bins so that you could have 2 side by side. So effectively you can hold 2, 4, 6, 8, and then 10 of these bins. So if that's something you're looking for, that is a really cool feature that they have designed around. Unlike a lot of these other ones where they don't make them these wide. So that fits very comfortably on there. And then certainly this is a small box, this per the outside, and it fits very comfortably, although you do have a lot of kind of wasted space around it. But it does fit. I'll show you this. It does fit comfortably, so you could easily fit 3 of them side by side here. Okay, hopefully that helps you get an idea of the size of bins and boxes that this shelf can hold. Now let's get into some of the pros and cons, some of the features of this shelf. One of the things that it comes with, which is a nice little feature, is a little U-shaped plastic hook thing that you can put around the pole, or around like the back one, and you can screw it into the wall, which is great, so you can secure this so it doesn't tip over. So that's a nice feature. Another nice thing about this, which is more of a unique feature of this Commander shelf, is that you can attach multiple units together. So you can attach them back to back right here using this slot and this little adapter. You just slide it in here and you slide it into the other one that would be right next to it, and it locks them in. Or you can attach them side by side. So either way, however you want to configure it, it has this capability to interlock them together, which is fantastic. It makes them more secure, more stable. That's a really cool feature. Thought I would test out the weight rating on this thing. So it says that it can handle 200 pounds per shelf, and that's with the weight evenly distributed. I weigh about 170, so I'm gonna hop on this thing and see what happens. Hopefully it'll hold me. It should, right? Rated at 200. So all right, here we go. Let's see what happens. Hopefully, ooh, it's kind of bending. It's kind of bending. All right, okay, no cracks. Didn't break on me. I haven't heard any cracking or anything. Let me kind of bounce up and down here. You can kind of see it flexing. And I'm sitting in the middle, so the weight is definitely not evenly distributed, if you can see that. I'm right in the middle, but it seems to be handling 170 pounds pretty well. It flexes as expected, but no breaking. Good job, Commander. Another feature, the feet of it. So it actually has a little plastic foot that screws onto another plastic piece, allowing you to adjust the height and get this thing balanced. So if your garage or wherever you're putting this is not quite flat, you can adjust the feet to make sure that it is flat. That's a really cool feature. In terms of putting it together, it's really easy to put together. The fit and finish of it is really nice. It was, you have to work it a little bit to get these holes in here, but just a little finagling, not too bad. If you'll twist these in, maybe hit them with a rubber hammer, that goes together pretty nicely. Probably the thing that took the longest was these pieces. They all come attached to one giant long plastic piece. So just working all of these pieces off or cutting them, that probably took just as much time as putting it together. But once you get all these little pieces apart, it really wasn't too bad. So this shelf is $70, which puts it at the higher end for these plastic shelves. You can go all the way down to a 50-pound shelf, and those can go as cheap as $30, $40. And then on the high end, you have $70, $75 for the 200, 250-pound shelves. One more feature I did want to point out, a really nice thing is, this is a Commander brand, which they designed for their Commander bins. So a couple of things that you can tell that they took the time and attention to design around these bins. So the first part of it is you can stack two of these side by side. And this shelf is a little bit wider than the Craftsman or the Blue Hawk, most of the other plastic ones that I've seen. And the reason why is so that you can fit two of these bins side by side. So this can hold up to 10 of these Commander bins, which is the 27-gallon size, which is fantastic. The other nice thing that they did was they made the gap between two shelves right here a little bit higher than the others. 14.5 inches seems to be somewhat of a standard for the gap between these two. And this one is 14.75. So you get a 1/4 inch more, which may not sound like a lot, but when you're sliding in a bin like this, which is exactly 14.5, having that extra 1/4 inch is helpful to get these bins slid in and out. So that extra 1/4 inch is nice. Overall, I think it's a really nice shelf. The fit and finish is nice. I like the design. If you really want the Commander bins and you're into that, which I understand they look cool and they hold a lot of stuff, I've got 3 of them. So if you're looking for a shelf to work specifically with those bins, I think this definitely is the way to go because you can stack 2 of them side by side. Hopefully you found that helpful. I've got a how-to video if you want to see how to put this thing together. And I've also got a video comparing this to the Craftsman and Blue Hawk and 3 other shelves to give you an idea side by side how this compares. So I'll be sure and throw a link so you can get to that video. All right, thanks for watching.